Hello, hello. This is Taylor Ursula of That's So Pisces, and it's time to wind down this lunar cycle with this third quarter moon in Capricorn. So let's explore. This third quarter moon in Capricorn takes place at 12 degrees and happens on Monday, April 1st at about 8 p.m. here on the West Coast. So the moon moves into Capricorn on Sunday, the 31st of March. There are very few transits around this third quarter moon. On Monday the 1st, we have the moon in Capricorn make a sextile to Mars in Pisces at 7 degrees. So this is the moon in its sign of detriment and Mars in a relatively, I want to say ineffectual because that's rude, but it is a more passive expression for Mars. There we go. And so this might be us maybe even channeling some of what we're feeling, which in Capricorn is classically still quite as emotional as it is in Cancer. It's just much less on the surface. In Capricorn, those feelings are kind of buried beneath whatever we are building towards. So we will keep those feelings hidden because they threaten to undo what it is that we're trying to build. They will get in the way of the stoic fight we are putting on to get where we're trying to go. Mars in Pisces needs something bigger than itself to be able to help move it toward its goal. And so perhaps there is a collaboration happening here between the moon and Mars that is about kind of channeling what's being felt into what needs to be acted upon now. This is also the day that Mercury stations retrograde in Aries at 27 degrees. We've been talking about this all season, y'all. We had a first quarter moon in Gemini that was being ruled by a Mercury that was 2 days away from entering its retrograde shadow. We had a full moon that was opposite Mercury that was at 25 degrees, just 2 degrees shy of this retrograde station. And here at this third quarter moon, we have Mercury stationing retrograde. So there is a lot mercurial in this time that is up for debate, that is up in the air, that has been cause for review. Everything that came up in that shadow period will now be gone back through as Mercury moves through this retrograde period. It makes sense to think about this third quarter moon being a place of release, right? We had release at the full moon because the full moon was an eclipse and the full moon was meeting up with the south node, which is classically, as I describe, a vacuum that sort of extracts things from our environment in some way. So we've already had a lot of release, and this third quarter moon is where we let go of whatever's holding us back, whatever hasn't been working to prepare for the next new moon cycle. This is, of course, a new moon eclipse that we'll be having in Aries. So we are in a period of change. Again, I've been saying this pretty much all year at this point. Every lunation cycle has involved change in some capacity. This lunation cycle is literally, this third quarter moon is between eclipses. So things still feel very unstable, unsturdy, right? And that Libra full moon eclipse was jettisoning many things to help bring us back into balance, right? That Libra sense of evenness, okay? So there is still something being processed at this time, right? As we anticipate whatever's showing up for us with that Aries eclipse that's coming next week. And it makes a lot of sense that Mercury is stationing retrograde to start to go over some of what we need to let go of, to go over some of what is in Aries that we have been building up to, that maybe we need to make more room for now. Maybe we are able to understand on a new level what's happening here in Aries now that there's been so much room cleared up for that Aries North node to start to take shape. The moon goes on to square the sun at 12 degrees and then make a sextile to its ruler Saturn in Pisces at 13 degrees. So perhaps there's something final about this as well. That moon making that sextile to its ruler, seeing its ruler and Saturn having an agenda in Pisces around building for the long term, building emotionally sustainability. That was a phrase. And so there is something kind of final that the moon is maybe able to download or anchor at this time, something that it's able to feel that's a bit bigger than itself with Saturn being in Pisces. And there might be a sense of closure that we're able to find here at this time. So let's go ahead and pull some cards. We're going to recap everything starting with the Pisces new moon, extending into the Gemini first quarter moon, peaking with that Libra full moon eclipse. And then we will pull to see what is coming to a close at this time. So stay tuned. Okay, here we have our lunation pull so far. We've got our Pisces new moon. We have our Gemini first quarter moon. This is our special pull that we did for the Libra full moon eclipse last week. If you missed any of these, clickety click. All right, pause here, clickety click, check these out, meet us back here, and we will get a sense of how this all winds down. Okay, so we are returning to our regularly scheduled programming for today's poll. We will start the Aries new moon eclipse cycle with a special eclipse prompt series. So stay tuned for that. But we are winding down with our traditional questions. So if you want these for yourself, head to priestessbaby.store/store rather, and you can download the free moon poll PDF that has all of these spreads. Okay, so we are looking at what is coming to a close now. We are looking at our previous attachment to what is ending now. We are looking at how we can make meaning from this process. And we are looking at what we can invite in at this time, right? And we'll kind of put the emphasis on invite because we don't really know what's going to enter with the Aries new moon eclipse, but we can certainly get clear on what we would like or what we would be open to. And in that way, we can kind of collaborate with the universe. All right, so remembering too, just a quick reminder, that the new moon eclipse is conjunct Chiron. So maybe we'll see some of that showing up in what we can invite in. Maybe it will be around that. So we'll see. Let's see what we get here. Okay. And last time we took a look at the bottom of the deck. So we will, we kind of enjoyed that. So we'll do that again. Okay, what do we got? The Page of Wands reversed. Okay. Maybe the first thought that I had was like, are we afraid of what's coming, right? Like my first thought was, are we kind of like suppressing or repressing this Page of Wands? Is that why it's reversed? Are we like, we have the idea, we have the concept, we have the passion that is stirring, but we are neglecting it or we are ignoring it? Maybe it's overwhelming. Maybe it's like too powerful for us in this moment. Maybe we're going super hard. Maybe we're pushing at this new, as we lead up to this new moon eclipse. Maybe we're pushing to make things happen. And maybe we need to temper that a little bit. Let's see what is happening here. That might tell us more. What is coming to a close now? Everything's upright, by the way. We've had a lot of reversals this cycle, so I just want to name that. Oh my goodness. I don't think I typically see this as something coming to a close. Wow, okay. The Nine of Cups represents hopefulness, represents opening up to new possibilities, represents opening up to, we've walked away from something and we saw the Eight of Cups last week, right? No, not last week, 2 weeks ago at the Gemini first quarter moon. We saw the Eight of Cups where we were talking about walking away from things that are unfulfilling, things that are not emotionally reciprocal or not fulfilling us in an emotional way, not giving us, not filling our cups, okay? And so what we talked about was that we can only really open up to what is possible when we walk away from what's no longer fulfilling us, right? We have to kind of make space for those things. So, something I'm getting a sense of here is this possibility that we might be closing out a journey of figuring out what we want to open up to. Maybe this time has allowed us to see, especially again, since we saw that Eight of Cups showing up for the Gemini first quarter moon, maybe in the 2 weeks since then, we have taken some inventory, taken a survey of what is going to be fulfilling for us, what is going to feel satisfying, and maybe we've had some taste of that in the past couple weeks or over the past 2 weeks. Maybe we've had a little bit of a taste of what this is going to feel like, and so we are closing out that survey. We should also take into account the reversal of this, right? Let's see, we're doing that since there's sort of a closing out in the prompt. What might be coming to an end is perhaps the lack of satisfaction, right? Maybe we have felt really unhopeful. Maybe we have felt really untrusting of good things being able to happen in the scope of all of the other things we've been grappling with or trying to navigate at this time. So maybe we've had our cups closed off. Maybe we have, maybe we've been doing this sort of soul searching again, this question of what, I'm not looking outside of myself for possibilities. I'm looking within myself for what these answers are now. I'm looking within myself to find self-satisfaction. So there may have been a period, especially with this Libra eclipse disrupting everything for so many of us, there may have been a sense of, all right, I'm spending a time here turning inward, pulling away from those Libra establishments, relationships, looking within myself to figure out what these cups actually want to be opened up to. And we could make this really literal and think about, like, maybe there's been a period of blessing that has been coming through for you, and maybe that's coming to a close now. Maybe the abundance that was present in a situation, maybe the good changes that came through for you at some point, maybe those are coming to an end, right? Maybe something's been tapped dry. Maybe we have gotten everything that we are going to get from this sort of source or from this abundance. Okay, let's see what our attachment has been to this. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, if this ends, if this good time is coming to a close, if I've drank from all these cups and like the cups are empty now, and all of this blessing that I've previously had from this has now ended, if this soul searching that I've been doing, or this inventory or this survey that I've been doing is now finished, then I was attached to that because it was maybe distracting me from my anxiety, right? The Knight of Swords is so much disconnection from the self and from the sense of self and from feeling safe. Maybe this surveying was a period that allowed us to feel safe because we didn't really know what we wanted, right? We didn't really know what we were looking for to fulfill us. And now that this is coming to a close, there is anxiety about actually pursuing those things or creating the change in our lives that will allow these things to become real. Thinking about, again, that sense of like these 2 weeks where we've maybe recognized what the Eight of Cups was asking us to walk away from, and we've started to get a sense of what we want this to look like. It still doesn't mean that we've gotten it in that situation necessarily. And we certainly see that if we have gotten it, if that is what's coming to a close, then of course that leads us to anxiety. If it turns out I've drank from all of these cups and this ride is over, I've gotten all of the blessings I can from this, that means I'm back at square one. Or that means I'm worried I'm going to be back at square one. That means that I'm worried about who I will become once this cup runs dry. Okay. My previous attachment, I'm trying to think about what this might be reversed. Again, I'm just thinking about like maybe the repression of the anxiety. I think if this has been something that's been active for us, then this may have been on the back burner, or we've been distracted from it, or we've been able to put it on hold, or we've otherwise been able to suppress that anxiety. And if this is ending, then this will resurface. How I have made meaning from this process, or how I can make meaning from this process. Well, it's time to get going. Okay. That Three of Wands is telling us that we've already made the plan in the two, right? The two is us strategizing. The two is us getting the map, right? And pointing out the destinations and figuring out the paths we're going to take to get there, and then like planning the agenda. And the three is saying, okay, it's time to go. This is now our relationship to this plan, is us moving forward with it, is us hitting the road and taking those first steps. So many sounds happening. So we can make meaning from this process by maybe thinking about what this journey looks like, being brave enough to begin this journey. And this feels very appropriate for an Aries new moon eclipse, because we are going down that journey whether or not we are ready for it, right? That's kind of the magic and the curse of eclipses, is that it doesn't really matter if you're comfortable for it, if you're ready for it. We're get in the car, we're going. And so this is very much, I wouldn't typically suggest this. Oh, hello. I wouldn't typically, think about this energy here in this moment, seeing as how we're winding things down, seeing as how we're ending things. But again, if we're looking at an eclipse, just me opening my window for my cat. If we're looking at an eclipse and it's going to happen anyway, then we can make meaning from this by just maybe accepting that this is where we are, accepting that movement is necessary, accepting that it's time to move forward. Doesn't matter how afraid we are, doesn't matter how good this was, perhaps, if that's the version of this that rings true to you. It doesn't matter if it's more comfortable to be in the hypothetical stages of what you want this to look like. It's time to go. And just maybe making peace with the fact that we are things are going to be moving forward, period. I'm thinking too about the fact that recognizing this is an open road, right? We may have laid out the plans, laid out the stops, gotten clear on the agenda, but that doesn't mean that once we hit the road, we're not going to find new things that we never could have planned for, or that we're not going to see a new path emerge that might be really enticing to us. So there is something kind of exciting about this. There's a freedom to this. There's a plan that's happening, but there's also a sense of adventure that is possible, and maybe inviting in some I don't want to finish that because this is the invitation. This is the thing we're trying to invite in, but trying to, again, make peace with or get clear on, okay, I have somewhere I have to go. And also it's going to open up new possibilities. If we want to invert this, we could think about maybe reflecting on the journey we've been within ourselves, maybe reflecting on the journey of what this has all entailed. Who have I been? Who was I before all of this? How did I even get here? What has that journey been like? And what does that show me about me? What does that reveal to me about myself? Okay. So what to invite in at this time? Here's our card of the year. Okay. Yeah. I love this, right? This really speaks to this cage that we're trapped in here. This idea that we are reframing and rebuilding and regenerating new instincts, that we are reconfiguring how these instincts currently operate. This would really represent the kind of over intellectualization. Here comes a cat. This would really represent the over intellectualization that we are doing at this time about this situation. And let me remind you that Mercury is going to station retrograde at this third quarter moon, right? So whatever thoughts we're having, whatever overthinking we're doing, whatever thought loop we're trapped in is going to be gently like untangled. Maybe not gently, it's Aries, but it's gonna get untangled during this retrograde. So we need to put less emphasis on our mental faculties at this time anyway. So this might be a beautiful moment, as we cannot tell what the eclipse is going to bring us in the week following this third quarter moon, to tap into those primal instincts, those sacral space instincts, and to just get back in touch with that balance, with that function, right? The mental part of us is frayed and fried, right? Definitely giving me a sense of what this page is talking about in terms of like, am I fearing my own capacity to have new ideas, to move out here? Am I repressing that because I'm scared to let this go? Because this has been good, or it felt good at some time, or again, it was fulfilling. It was my wish at some point to have this. Maybe there's an old wish coming to an end. I wished for this, and I lived it, I experienced it, and guess what? Like, that's done. That didn't mean that it was going to be indefinite. Just because it was a wish and I wanted to have it, like, things end, right? Okay. So shifting out of the overthinking, and again, our brains are fried. Mercury's about to be retrograde. This eclipse kicked our butts. Tapping back into, what am I feeling within myself? What instincts are like calling out to me? I'm getting a sense that this is connected to this and this. And as we move forward, if we kind of put the thoughts on hold, or we let our brains take a rest, or we shift out of depending on that mental faculty to be the prime, like to be the leader here, then it shifts us back into this place of re-entering trust with ourselves, having to listen to our instincts, having to trust our gut, having to tap into that fire, right? Fire and air. So we're putting air away for a moment. We are tapping into fire. We are getting a sense of what ideas and what magic is trying to emerge from within us that we might be resistant to at this time. Inviting in a deeper connection to these instincts, which in reverse would mean inviting in a reconnection, a rebalance, right? If we just had a full moon eclipse in Libra and it sucked out, or it brought to the surface all of those injustices and those imbalances that we saw in the Justice card 2 weeks ago as well, then with those all cleared out, we can finally reconnect with this process and get clear on what needs our attention here. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed, please like this video. Please share with someone who might be going through the eclipse feels and may need or crave some guidance. And please subscribe. Next week, we'll talk about that Aries full new moon eclipse. We'll pull a special spread and see what is like just surfacing or emerging for us. And we will talk all about that Chiron influence. So I hope to see you there.